I'm curious about when to initiate the safer sex elevator speech. It sounds like it comes before kissing, especially for including oral herpes in this discussion, but I don't usually talk about sex until I know someone's interested, which I frequently find out by kissing them. I won't like the idea and want to incorporate it, but not break the flow. Where does it fit in?
Here, Cathy Vartilli from the intimacydojo.com.
Reid Mahalko from AboutSex.com.
Give me your answer. I have my answer, but I don't want to shut you off. What's your advice?
I typically will have it on a second or third date, depending on how it's flowing. Mm-hmm. I might have had like a goodnight kiss, but I usually haven't had a make-out session with them. Mm-hmm. So that's when I have it. And I kind of listening to the flow. Is my body? It's not just if they want to have sex with me. It's do I want to have sex with them? Is my body going, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Hey. So I listen to that, and sometimes people run away, and that's okay. And sometimes it does break the flow, and it's still okay because I've had the conversation with people I wasn't sure I was going to have sex with, and we had great discussions at the very least.
Here's great advice. Here's my advice, and this is my advice probably from now moving forward, because I think it just occurred to me. Just teach it this way, Reid. First, imagine, how would you feel if you'd been making out with somebody and then they told you the next date when you wanted to sleep together that they had oral herpes?
I wouldn't be happy about it.
Why wouldn't you be happy about it?
Because
I'll use you as
sure.
as a stand-in for our
sure.
listeners.
I feel like that should be disclosed, and I get to take a choice. I feel like my choice was taken away.
Got it. So now, shake up the Etch-a-Sketch, new drawing. You have oral herpes. You want to make out with somebody, but you're afraid, you're hesitating whether or not you should tell them or not. Why are you hesitating?
I think there's a lot of shame around it in general in society, and I don't know how that person in general is going to take it. They might freak out and go, oh my God, I never want to see you again, or there's that fear of being rejected.
So the situation, if I'm assessing it correctly, is that people tend to not tell people at first, hoping that when they do tell them, they'll be okay with it.
Yeah, the connection will be good enough. Whereas I feel disrespected if someone doesn't tell me beforehand.
So, in the weird world of Reid Mahalko being somebody who makes out with a lot of people, and has been very fortunate to have sex with many, many folk. And if you're watching and you've had sex with me, thank you so much. Thank you, really. And who's also a jackass about it. And the reason I'm not doing it to brag, this is like I'm impressing upon you. How I do it is I tend to tell everybody ahead of time before I make out with them, because my offending them later is worse than me not getting to make out with them. Now, the argument is, well, Reid, you make out with all these people, so you're not starving for making out.
It's not so precious to you.
However, if you are starving for making out, why would you be willing to offend them later or take their choice away? That just feels weird. Now, granted, what I'm saying is, no, tell them that you before you kiss, be like, hey, just so you know, like, I have herpes, and I just want to be respectful. Like, are you okay with us making out? I'm not saying that that's easy to do. I'm saying that that's powerful. And if they can't handle it, they're really going to be pissed when you tell them later. So when you do the math, I would say take the workshops, watch the videos, read the books so that you feel less shame and just kind of get, hey, you might not want to kiss me. However, when I've really talked to people in the sex geek community and also in the non-sex geek community, the response more often than not around kissing tends to be that most people are okay with it. Most being more than 51%.
Yeah. Well, and I'm kind of a geek, and I don't always notice if people are interested in me or not. And so for me, someone saying, hey, I'd like to have the safer sex elevator speech is like, oh, they're kind of interested in at least exploring that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's been out on dates that didn't realize they were dates till like a year later. Like, oh, I would have played that totally different. So just initiating that makes it clear that, hey, I'm at least interested in you somewhat. Let's have this conversation.
Yeah. Now, you don't even have to have the full conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Because I have talked to enough people that some people say that, well, if I have the safer sex conversation, now the other person is assuming that I'm a yes to sex.
Oh, I will say right up front, I would like to have this conversation with you. I don't know if I want to, where we're going.
And the person's, and this is feedback from other people still assume. They're like, oh, yeah. You're just saying that. Right? And again, some people are like, no, I just want to make out. I don't want to open up this other door yet. Yeah. So then just you don't have to have the whole safer sex conversation. Yeah. Just be like, hey, I have oral herpes, yada, yada, yada. And then you're just keeping it above the waist, so to speak. And then if the makeout goes really well and now people want to do other things, then it's like, hey, we need to have a safer sex conversation because there's other stuff I want to know. Yeah. So again, you don't have to have the full elevator speech. You can just let people know, hey, I'm a decent human being who wants to give you information about what you're getting yourself into.
And sometimes it's okay to break the flow and see how they handle it so that you know they'll talk about stuff.
It's a great assessment technique. But the big piece is, if they're going to be pissed knowing it now, how do you think they're going to react later when you have to tell them? They're going to fucking have a meltdown. So save yourself the headache. The paperwork. The emotional paperwork. I hope that's useful.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Leave a comment.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe to my social media, it's right there. And please subscribe to this channel there. If you'd like to see more goofy Reid and Cathy, there's more videos there.
See them. Why are they there?